Well, hello everyone, and welcome to my shop. All right, everyone, and welcome. This is Dave. I'm back, recharged and ready to get back at it. We spent a week with my family here on the East Coast on the beach. We got some of that sea air, that ocean breeze going, and recharged my batteries, let my thumbs and my hands rest a little bit. So we're ready to get at it. So what we're going to do, we're going to get back on the Chevy, and I've removed the PCV and modification and the bypass oil filter from the 216 that was in this engine and this truck, and I'm going to install the PCV to this 54 engine, and I'm going to look into getting the what it's going to take to get the oil filter installed onto it. I may not get that done in this particular episode. Also, before I left on vacation, I ordered some LED lights and installed them in the front here, and so I'll show some clips of that also. So stay tuned and we're going to get busy. All right, we're going to try some new bulbs here, LED twin color bulbs. That's the name on them. That's what they look like. What they're supposed to are the equivalent of an 1157. What they're supposed to do is low power parking light, high power amber turn signal. So let's see what happens here. We'll put him in. When I rewired this, when I added turn signals, I ran 2 more circuits and I replaced the sockets to the 1157 type. So anyway, all right, let's see what we get. Well, we got an amber turn signal. That's cool. And we got a white parking light, which is quite a bit brighter. Compare it to the 1157 lamp. Well, it's quite a bit brighter. All right. Since I've got standard bulbs on the back, I don't need to add a special flasher. So the standard flasher works. All right, well, let's put this back on and see what we got. Huh. Well, that's a whole lot brighter. They're about 13 bucks. The first set they sent me were the equivalent of 1156, so they're only single element. They didn't, I mean, the box, they had the wrong bulbs in the box, so they sent me these replacements. Alright, let's see what it looks like with the lens in. Oh, you can't miss that at all. Cool beans. And that's with the parking light on. All right. Boy, the parking light's about as high, about as bright as the headlight. Huh. Let's do the other side. Kind of impressed. It's hard to impress these old eyes sometimes. That seems to be impressive. In LEDs, they shouldn't use as much power either. All right, let's see. All right. Well, very good. I like that. I like the amber turn signal and the white parking light. Good deal. All right, very good. I'm going to carry those 1157s with me. I don't know the longevity of these LEDs. They're supposed to be a lot longer lasting, but I don't know. Holding that line up. There it goes. There we go. Well, let's see. We sure blinks fast. No bleed over. Front going rear. There you go. That's the label on the box. That's the part number. All right. I don't know if I can get these 1157s in there. Yeah, I did. All right, I'm gonna carry these with me for a while anyway. All right, here's what's the draft tube that came off the 216. What I did before I went on vacation, I sanded it down, primed it, and painted it gloss black so it'll look pretty good. And I cut off the end of the draft tube that would actually go down underneath the engine. And I'll explain that a little further. And I ordered these grommets here. All right, here's the grommets. I only wanted one, but got two. It's 6379, Mr. Gasket. And this is what the grommet looks like here. Now he'll insert right here. Okay. Makes a pretty good seal. And I ordered this PCV, which is a V237. It's got a small and a large port. I've just plugged the small, and he'll install in there like that. I'm not going to put it all the way in just yet because it can be hard to get back out. All right, and so that's him. And then I've got the line that I had on the 216. I'm going to run it over. This is the original PCV I was running in the 216. You can see it's a lot. The diameter is smaller, so it wouldn't suck as much vacuum. I may have to go back to this if this sucks too much vacuum and I can't have enough for my vacuum wiper to work. That's the only drawback possibly with going with this. And this is the old grommet that I had that was in it. I'd glued it in, and it just easily pulled out. But he'll also fit in there also. Okay, so I can use him if I need to. I had to clean him out because I don't have the part number and it's not wrote on it, but I have it documented somewhere. I may pop it up here on the screen, but you can hear it rattle around. And I want to show you previously, without the PCV setup on these engines, you got a slot here, slot here, slot here, and this is the stock valve cover that was on that 54 235 that's in my Chevy now. What it would do, you had a flat radiator type oil fill cap here, and it would suck air in through the top of these vents, unfiltered, to replace the air that was being forced out of the draft tube. If you know thermodynamics, you know that if you evacuate air from an area, air is going to rush to fill that spot back in. So when it's pushing the air out the bottom because of the pistons and it's basically somewhat compressing the air on the bottom end of the engine, it's going to push it out the draft tube, and air's got to rush in through the top to replace it. So anyway, later perhaps I'll pop it up. The Chevrolet in the 235s and 261s actually went to a PCV setup. The draft tubes became the oil fill at the top, and then they had the PCV, which would screw into it right there. I'd like to find a setup like that one day, instead of hacking and cutting up the original. And I like the idea of the oil fill there too, which is pretty neat. But Chevrolet went to a PCV valve, and they closed up the vents, and they actually used a tube would come off the valve cover and go up into the air cleaner, so it would be filtered air to come in. The air filters I'm running are too small for that now, but I'm going to work on some kind of a modification shortly on that. All right now I am running the stock standard draft tube, and you can see here, there's the tube and there's the down rod, and you look down there, you can see it extends down. You can see actually on top of my my tie rod down there that their oil does drip out of that tube. There's a deflector plate in the bottom. There's some baffles in it to try to keep the oil in it, but that oil will go out with the air, because when the air is moving pretty quick, it's going to pull stuff with it. So we're going to remove that draft tube, install that modified one I have in its place, and wrap a air line around, and I'm going to tee it into the vacuum line that goes to my wipers. So anyway, there we go. Alright, there's one bolt down here that holds him on to the side of the block. 7/16 bolt. And the draft tube is basically just pressed in to the block. Maybe I can get him out somewhat easy. There we go. I'm going to show you down in the hole. Now if you see, get that light out of the way. I don't know if you can see that deflector plate. That is forgotten sometimes by rebuilders, and if that's forgotten and left out, that'll allow more oil to splash up and get into that draft tube. So that plate down there's primary purpose is to keep oil from splashing up into the tube and out of the engine. So anyway, also wanted to show on the old draft tube, you see how it's cut at a slant, at it's sliced this way. Actually, it causes a low pressure air. This faces the front, the down part. So when the air goes over it, it causes a low pressure system to develop right here, and it actually helps pull, bypass gases and everything out as you're going down the road. It functions a whole lot better when it's moving than it does sitting still. So anyway, that's kind of designed into it. All right, now we're going to see how I'm going to fit it in there. Let's see. I can spin him when I get him down. See if how he'll look that way. Is there room? Yeah. Okay, I may just do it that way. That way the oil that does splash up will be higher. This side will be higher. Now if I have to go to that other PCV valve, I'll have to spin it some, but we're going to put it about right there. All right. And that's about where I want him, right? Yeah. All right. I'm looking for a 2x4. Rubber mallet. And he's in. All right. And there he is. So we're going to wrap the vacuum line around this side and route it around, and I just so happen to have it. And we may, do I want to bring him around the back side like that? Or bring him around like that? We'll bring him around like that. All right. Remember, that small one is already capped. Now I kind of prepared for this. One of these days, when I grow up. But if you can see, I've got a T already put in, and I've got it capped right there. All right, so I've pretty much prepared for this. I may go underneath that. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go underneath that fuel bowl. Let's see how he looks going down this way. Okay. All right. And I don't want it touching my exhaust manifold, but I want some slack. I could bring him all the way over, clamp him to the fender well, but I don't know. We do it like that. How does he look? I may take him above or the other side. Decisions. I've already decided I don't like that routing. So I'll come down this way. So going over top is going to be the best. All right. Yeah, going over top will be the best route. All right. Do that. I can leave plenty of slack, and it's not anywhere near that exhaust manifold. All right, there we go. All right, pull that off. And basically, we're done. Now, like I say, if that, my air cleaners don't have enough space, I'll show you. Let's get that here. They don't have enough space to put any kind of a filter on it, on the plate. And I'll tell you what I'm getting to here in a moment, okay? So if you see my plate there, see there's no place where I can actually put. Right here is about the only place where there's enough meat. I guess I could drill a hole, but then the air filter, you can see the markings here, the air filter. So this plate is not big enough to cut. What I could do, I could change the oil fill to that has a port on it and run a line over and bring it up to where it sucks the air, you know, it gets the air after the air cleaner, but these plates aren't big enough. So what I'm going to end up probably doing is getting one of those oil fills that's got the filter paper element built into it. So that's probably what I'll end up doing for now, unless I redo my air cleaners, which is a possibility. I've seen some that take like the twin 4-barrel big air cleaner, and I'm going to do some measurement, go to a speed shop and check that out. If that's the case, I could like tap it right in here in the middle or something. But anyway, that's one of them things down the road. For now, I'm just going to use the mesh that's in that, and then I'll probably go to an a paper filter type air cleaner that serves as the oil fill. All right, so I think we're going to put that air cleaner on there and fire this up and see what happens. Fire in the hole. let's see what the wipers do. And they work. So the PCV valve is not taking more than we need. Very good. That was the main test. I'm going to tie wrap that to take less stress off the connection here. And we'll make sure he idles good too. Once he warms up some, we'll warm him up a little bit. All right, we've warmed up enough now. What I'm going to do is a kind of a shade tree way of seeing if you've got a vacuum leak or not. I'm going to cover the primary, primary jet or barrel of that 2-barrel carburetor, and if it picks up RPM, that means I've got a vacuum leak. If it wants to stall, that means it's not got a vacuum leak. So let's see. I don't know if you were able to hear it, but it was going to stall. So that's telling me that my vacuum connections are good. All right. I've not even put gauges on it, so I've got confidence we're good. Also, another test to see if your vacuum's all right is if your distributor turns. I had a question from someone that asked, posted a question about, is it normal for the whole distributor to turn? Yes, the whole distributor turning is how this vacuum advance operates. So let's see. That is normal. That's how your vacuum advance works. Now after about 10 degrees, I think the way it works, I could be wrong, is the vacuum advance will do about a maximum of about 10 degrees. So you add that when you're up there around 3,000 RPM to the maximum mechanical, you're running about 40 degrees advance at about 3,000 RPM. There should be no advance other than your static timing at idle. No vacuum to it. All right. Well, I'd say I put a tie wrap to it to hold it down and to take some stress off the connection here, and also keep that the line away from those spark plugs. So I believe this is a good modification. I'm wished I would have done this when I had it done, but I was in a hurry to get it running. You know how it is. But anyway. All right, here's the bypass oil filter assembly. This is the T that goes into the block. That your oil pressure gauge will connect to here, and this end will go into the block. And this this angle here will go into the block, and the line to it. All right. Here's the U-joints that will not work, that bolted to the stock 216 single barrel manifold. So that's what I got to come up with. Is a bolt up method. All right. Here's a new filter assembly. Let's get him over here. This is the new filter assembly. You see it's a Wix 51100. All right. I got it locally. That's what the oil filter cartridge looks like. All right. Here's how you, all right. You got rubber seals at the top and bottom. All right. And there's the new seal for the lid there. All right. So when I go to put him on, he'll have a new filter in him. So let's do some mock-ups and see what it's going to take. All right, there's a static fit. It'll have to go about right there, in order to for the lines to reach. And let's see here, I'm going to need about a 4-inch U-clamp. There, and then that's 3 inches tall. Get this camera right. 3 inches or 4 inches. And I'll have to have maybe 1/2-inch spacers in there to clear for the carburetor. So I think that'll do. Doesn't look too bad. It'll look a lot better when it's painted. Well, all right. As you could tell, doing the PCV mod wasn't that hard of a thing to do, and it's so beneficial to the engine that you should think about doing it if you haven't done it. The bad thing in the whole setup is having to cut the draft tube. Now, keep the down section part if you do this mod. I've kept mine, and so it can be welded back on should I desire to go back to a stock setup. Now, some of you that have watched my videos know this, and for those of you that are just tuning in, my ultimate goal is to rebuild the 216 engine that originally came in this truck, which I've got sitting over here, to rebuild it and to put it back in, because I want to keep this truck stock. Eventually, I'd like to have it look like it did when it rolled off the showroom floor. Now, it's going to have some permanent mods like the turn signals and the dual brake lights and the more modern radio, but otherwise, I want to keep it as close to stock as I can. It's got to be safe to drive. I haven't determined what I like better, to drive them or to work on them. I believe 60-40 to drive them, okay? Because I'm getting to where I don't like crawling under them, and I've got to get under this thing to do to check out that ball housing leak that's been bothering me. So I'm gonna have to get underneath him, but otherwise, anything up top like this, like what I just did, it's great, not hard. The bypass oil filter, we're not going to get to that in this episode. We're going to have to do some more studying and ciphering on that. Originally it bolted to the D-shaped intake manifold of the 216 and the 235, the stock single barrel. Well, this Fenton is a bigger manifold, and it's more rectangular and square, so the old clamps won't work. So I've got to come up with another mounting method. I want to mount it to the engine though, because to keep the stress off those oil lines. Let's see, PVC mod didn't affect my wipers, didn't affect my vacuum advance on the distributor, so that's good. And I showed you with the little shade tree mechanic type vacuum leak test that it didn't have a vacuum leak, so we seem to be good there. I'm going to tie down a few more tie wraps here and there to clean this up some more, but otherwise this episode we're pretty much done with it. So anyway, I want to if you like this kind of stuff, give me a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe. Won't cost you a thing. Give me a comment. I'll try to get to them, each and every one of them. Sometimes YouTube doesn't give me a notification when one of you all leaves a comment, and especially if it's asking a question. And so if it seems like I'm late getting back to you, it's only because I just didn't know it was there. I need to be more proactive in checking it. But anyway, thanks for watching. You have a good one, and we'll see you around on the next one. See you.